And AIDA, AIDA, is an acronym that stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. And I imagine if I got that wrong, that's what it stands for. And so I wanted to break down 4 quick copy tips. This is how people use AIDA to create landing pages, like to figure out how to write or organize their messages. And so I wanted to give 4 quick copy tips on AIDA, which we're going to do starting right now. Brian, can you advance to the next slide?
I can.
Thank you. Okay, number 1, 20-second tip. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these. First one around attention. When you're writing your headline, keep in mind that the idea of gain isn't as powerful for your visitor as the idea of loss or them losing something that they already have. This is called loss aversion. So rather than saying something like generate more leads, you might want to say something like, Brian, can you click it? Stop losing leads, right? Loss aversion. They don't want to lose what they already have. Next quick tip under I for interest is don't summarize your benefits, but rather be specific. We tend to lean towards summarizing a little bit because we think that that'll make it less wordy, but it also makes it less meaningful. So rather than saying something like, our virtual assistants work when you do, try saying something like, if you start work at 6 a.m., your virtual assistant starts work at 6 a.m. Yes, it's wordier, but when you're talking to people, it can actually help to really drive home what you mean, more than just like asking them to imagine what work when you do looks like.
One thing
Next
that I
one up.
actually,
Go ahead.
Joe, just really quickly, one thing that I really like about the example you've given here, and this is something that we, focus on quite a bit at Unbounce with our emails and our landing pages, is the kind of language. So with the original example, our virtual assistants work when you do. I mean, it's kind of about us. It's hard to imagine how, you as the reader, would be in that situation where when you use power words like you start work at 6 a.m., your VA starts work at 6 a.m., it's sort of easier to establish that rapport.
Yeah, that's a great point. Those power words too, I love it. That's totally great. Next up is desire. And this is where when you're trying to get people to move towards the point of clicking the call to action that's going to follow, you want to do things that really drive home points in clear, high-value ways. So people see a word like free, and although that's good, free often equals no value for us. You have to assign a value for us to understand that you're not just giving away air, there's something real here. So rather than saying free shipping, which we see all the time, you may want to try we'll pay your shipping, which I saw a client do recently, or a friend, he's not actually a client, he's a friend, do recently. And he said, according to him, quote unquote, the results were gangbusters or something like that. So there's a tip there. And then the final one around action.
I will say this last one is kind of one of my personal favorites, but I'll let you go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is around removing what we call friction words from your button. So things that make it feel like work or like someone's got to give something up to get what they want from you. Those aren't great for conversion. We'd like to strip those away, things like buy now, sign up, submit, which is kind of like a meaningless word, and replace it with a pretty good word, get. And that might be like, oh, Joanne, you're oversimplifying it. No, I'm really not. And I can't always use get. Yes, you really can. A lot of the time you really can use get, like get it now. That sort of thing could be a great replacement for most of the calls to action that we see that have friction sort of built into them. So there we have it, 4 quick tips, longer than 20 seconds in most cases, but I think that the point is driven home.
Perfect.
Do you guys use? Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, we have one bonus slide. There was one bonus tip you had given on this last slide.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's true. Sorry, you're right. Even better than get, which is really obviously a great thing. But if you can put it in the first person, if you can put that button language in the first person, like give me access, rather than saying something more about you, or not actually putting down a person at all, but putting me or I in your button also proves out really well in tests, so that's worth giving a go at on your own landing pages.
Yeah, and you were asking if that was something that we had, worked with at Unbounce, and yeah, I think one of the kind of tenets we try to adhere to is with button copy, that you finish the sentence, I want to, I want to save my spot, I want to attend the webinar, etc.
That's an awesome tip. I love it.